Madison is the brand new album from Sloppy Jane, and I'm so stoked to have the founding member of the band join us, Haley Dahl. Haley, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks so much for doing this. And I love the aesthetic. I mean, you're pulling no punches here. It's not like some fancy studio or my Zoom setup or anything like that. This is the blank wall in my house.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got my
is,
cave shirt on.
oh, nice product placement.
Thank you.
There's so much to talk about with this album. Let's just jump right into it. You talked about this cave shirt. Did you get a shirt from every cavern that you visited in trying to find the right cavern to record this album?
Most of them.
Nice.
Not all of them have gift shops, but the ones that have gift shops, I always try to get something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only visited maybe 2 caverns in my life. And
Cool.
I don't know what it was, but my dad wanted us to have a nice family vacation in Virginia or North Carolina. I don't know, wherever Luray Caverns is.
Oh my God. I love Luray Caverns. That's in Virginia.
Virginia. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this idea, I understand, started around 2017. So it's been a very long process. What was the initial inspiration to say, hey, I want to record an album in a cave?
Luray was actually had a lot to do with it. So in 2017, I was like super duper like in love with this person who like didn't love me back. And I was like, I want to make a really grand gesture, like in a kind of like old school way and I knew that I like wanted it to be musical because that's just what I do. And I was at the same time, like I had just gotten really into all of the like wall of sound recordings, all the like pop music from the early 60s. And I liked that they used reverb and like large instrumentation to kind of heighten the emotional importance of like teenagers being in love, and to bring them to these like operatic levels. And so I was like, I want to do something that like has to do with kind of this big bombastic, like reverberant sounds. But I don't have access to an echo chamber. So I started looking into like natural reverb. And I came up with the idea to do a record in a cave. And I looked it up and I saw that nobody had really like, there's been like ambient recordings done in caves. There's been a lot of performances in caves, but like no one had like made really like a fully fleshed out like record in a cave. And I was like, well, then that's just what I want to do. And I found some recordings from Luray Caverns and found out about the organ in that cave and was like, that's so cool. And it was actually my first initial choice of where I wanted to record. But then I found out that I couldn't. They just like wouldn't let me. So I was like, okay, I'll bring my own piano into a cave and started looking. Mm-hmm.
Why did they not allow this? I would think that they would jump at such an opportunity. I mean, let's be honest, caverns, they need a little hype.
Well, Luray's it's such a tourist attraction. And I think it didn't align with their business model to like have someone recording in there a lot. When I talked to them, they were sort of like, I hadn't been doing this already. Like, I feel like now when I reach out to people and I'm like, I want to use your cave for something and I've done all this, there's like trust there. But at the time they were just kind of like, who are you? And why would we let you do that?
Yeah, they probably like looked you up, listened to a few tracks from Willow, and they're like, absolutely not.
Exactly. Like I think, they were very like, this is a family place. And I'm like, but it's not like what you're looking at. Like, I'm not going to do anything like, whatever.
You're not going to get naked or anything like that.
Yeah, I was like, it's going to be really wholesome, but they just were not, they weren't interested. But I would still love to perform there someday or record something there someday. I'm like, no hard feelings, not closed off.
Like perform this album there, right?
That would be awesome. Or I would, it would be fun to compose something just specifically for that organ too, because I know that only some of the keys work.
It's interesting you just said the word wholesome, because my first impressions in listening to the album the whole way through is like, I was expecting you to embody the sloppy Jane that we were somewhat familiar with, right? And for you to go crazy and maybe, some screaming, who knows, right? You're very unpredictable. But in listening to the whole thing, it's so cohesive. It's so well done. It is very much a throwback in terms of the sound, the sonics of it, to everything that you just referenced. I feel like a child could listen to this and enjoy it, be lulled to sleep, whatever.
Thank you.
Was that some part of the purpose and direction that you wanted to go in, or was that just kind of a natural thing that kind of happened?
A little bit of both. I think that sometimes in doing stuff like I've never felt that like anger or aggressiveness is like definitive to my body of work. I think that there's a lot actually in Madison musically that is also present in Willow. And I think that it's those things that are more definitive of my work than like, let's say like screaming or like distorted guitar. I like having music that has a lot of very like unpredictable left turns. I like kind of the presence of like ambience and an audience. Like there's a lot of laugh tracks in Willow and there's stuff like that in Madison. And I like a narrative arc, which is kind of present in both of those things. I think that, and I like the use of dissonance. Like there is a lot of dissonance in Madison. There's parts where like it kind of falls into, orchestral noise or like a crowd screaming or something. It's just like less aggressiveness coming like directly from my own mouth, if that makes sense. And I think that it's rewarding to do something that feels a little bit different also, because I think that sometimes when you do stuff that's dissonant or do stuff that's aggressive, I'm like really often mistook for like somebody who like doesn't know about music, where people are like, these guys suck, it sounds bad. And I'm like, it sounds bad. I'm like, it's intentional dissonance. And I think that like, it's nice to step away from doing something fully dissonant so that people can even just see that all of my old stuff was intentional too. But yeah, I don't know. It was definitely like intentional to make a record that was like not explicitly a rock record.
Do you have a vision for how this will all look moving forward, not only performing it, but even taking it to a grander scale? I feel like this can be a Broadway performance.
I want my like life goal is like, I want to do like the Vegas residency circuit someday for sure. I think that would be really fun. And I would really like to, I think my vision has always been for the first 3 records, to kind of follow the same like narrative arc and to have like things that reference each other, and then to be able to put them together to be like a 3-part symphony and record it and perform it as one whole thing all the way through. So that would be like Willow, Madison, and the one that comes next. Wow.
I'm very curious to see how this all transpires for album number 3.
Yeah, me too.
Non sequitur, as I'm watching you speak right now, how would you describe the color of your hair as it is today in relation to wood?
You're on my Twitter.
I'm stalking you.
I would say that my hair is really like the color of a very expensive wood.
A mahogany?
Something like that. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Just like this album, I'm a huge fan. I'm trying to tell everybody and everybody to listen to this album.
Thank you.
Really amazing. You embody art in the artist title that you hold.
That's so beautiful. Thank you.
Congratulations on this, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.